have a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texans, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
All right, John, let's get to a little general news and notes, a staple on the Tuesday episode of the podcast. What do you got for the people this week to make them sound smarter at the water cooler?
Okay, well, let's start with the players we've just been talking about. I was asked by In the Loop, Landry Locker and John Lopez, what player I was most looking forward to seeing next season other than C.J. Stroud. And I said, Will Anderson Jr. Mm-hmm. And I asked Will this question on Monday. He didn't give me a really good answer like I wanted. It's good enough. But the reason I'm so fired up about it, Will Anderson Jr. had 7 sacks and 13 starts, played in 15 games. And that is a record for rookies. Mario Williams, 2006.
A Texans record for the team record for.
Yeah,
for
what did I
sacks.
say?
You just said record for rookies. I just want to clarify so people know you mean for the Texans. Yeah.
So Mario Williams in 2006, first overall pick, started 16 games. He had 4.5 sacks. So Anderson beat him by a long shot. And in his next 2 seasons, he had 14 and 12. Mm-hmm. So his career took off as a pass rusher because he had the experience from his rookie year. And I expect that to happen to Anderson now. In 2011, J.J. Watt. He started 16 games. He had 5.5 sacks. The next 2 seasons, he had 20.5 and 10.5. Mm-hmm. So Will Anderson Jr., I would expect him just to explode and his career be on an upward trajectory, and he will become a perennial difference maker off the edge and a double-digit sack master.
Yeah, it's a shame he had the ankle injury at the end of the year, John. And I know he had that great game against Indianapolis, where I think that was the game where he only played 12 snaps or whatever. Was it Tennessee or Indianapolis where he was?
I think it was Indy. I think it was Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, yeah, where he played 12 snaps and he had 6 pressures and 2 sacks, and he did a great job. I think it was Tennessee. You're right. It's a shame that he was banged up at the end of the year, because when he was healthy, it was starting to look a lot like J.J. Watt, where J.J., you could tell by the end of his season, like you look at his numbers for the year and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a decent rookie year. But if you just watch the last 6, 7, 8 games of J.J. Watt's rookie year, similarly with Will Anderson, you can look at it and go, okay, the next full season this guy has, to your point, John, he's a double-digit sack guy. The next time he's playing 17 games or 15 or whatever a full season is for him next year. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see Will Anderson in his sophomore year for sure.
And Anderson was hurt, so he didn't get the best of him in the 2 playoff games. But and Watt, in his playoff loss at Baltimore after the 2011 season, he had 2.5 sacks. Mm-hmm. And so it all started with that Cincinnati playoff victory when we saw greatness. Now, C.J. Stroud started the season with 191 consecutive passes without an interception, finished with 198, and primarily because he only threw 5 interceptions, Texans had the fewest turnovers in the league. And a remarkable statistic, Devin Singletary never fumbled. Not that he didn't lose one. He never fumbled one time as a rusher or receiver. The Texans lost only 2 fumbles other than Stroud. They only lost 6 fumbles overall, and Stroud had 4. The other 2 were Beck and Schultz.
I remember the Schultz one.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That only 2 position players lost fumbles.
Well, and that none of them are, I mean, I know Beck's a fullback, but like none of them are running backs. They're like Dameon Pierce, or because he was the guy early in the season, and the Devin Singletary didn't fumble is incredible. Like at all, like not lose a fumble, like put the ball on the ground. That's a cool stat, John.
People talk about CJ. I saw on ESPN saying he had the greatest season for a rookie quarterback. Well, no, he didn't. He ended up with 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was 10-7 as a starter. In 2004, Ben Roethlisberger was 13-0. They had 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. they were predominantly running team, and he had 2,621 yards, but he helped them get the AFC Championship game where they were upset at home by New England, and I covered it. And Andrew Luck in 2012, he went 11-5, threw for 4,374 yards and 23 touchdowns, same as Stroud, but he had 18 interceptions compared to Stroud's 5.
John, do you think if you plunk 2023 CJ Stroud on the 2004 Steelers that he goes 13-0 with that team?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
you're saying great running game.
You're saying Ben Roethlisberger had a better rookie year. Yeah, he won a bunch of games. He also had a bunch of Hall of Famers on the team with him. Like CJ's digging a team out of the muck whose best player was Dameon Pierce a year ago.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Now the Texans in the playoffs had 3 non-offensive touchdowns, the 2 pick sixes by Nelson and Harris in the 45-14 victory over the Browns, and then a 67-yard punt return by Steven Sims. That is the most touchdowns in the postseason by non-offensive players since the Packers in 2010.
And that team made the Super Bowl. The Texans got knocked out in the divisional round.
It's amazing how many more games the other teams have had, but they've not had 3 returns for touchdowns.
Wow, and that's crazy. And John, if you think about it, just a few weeks before that, they had Dameon Pierce kickoff return for a touchdown against Cleveland in Week 16.
Yeah, that's right.
In Week 16, yeah. Nice. What else?
I got one more here that I thought was very interesting just because I hadn't thought about it. Christian Harris in the loss at Baltimore, he rushed 13 times chasing Lamar Jackson, and he had 6 pressures, and all were unblocked, which means D'Amico made great calls to free him up, or he did a great job of just avoiding any blockers, but he was unblocked and 6 unblocked pressures. That is the most unblocked pressures in any game this season, playoffs or regular season, according to Next Gen Stats.
Okay, I like that, John. Christian Harris has got to be on the list of Texans that fans have to feel really, really good about going into 2024. Like that he's, if you're starting to put together like, okay, the Texans, we expect them, we hope that they're going to be better in 2024 than they were in 2023, that they're going to be one of the better teams, if not one of the best teams in football, like a top perennial, like power rankings, top quarter of the league, win their division, which means they should get more recognition for individual players as opposed to just Tunsil making the Pro Bowl every year. I think Christian Harris has got to be one of those guys probably that you look at who could make that jump next year to being a widely recognized player, especially because the Texans this year were playing big primetime games down the stretch. So people really got to know the Texans over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They had the stage to themselves in their last 3 games, 2 playoff games, and that Colts game in Week 18. And Christian Harris played great in all of those games.
Texans have playmakers at every level on defense. Will Anderson Jr., Christian Harris, and Derek Stingley Jr. On offense, besides Stroud, Nico Collins has become a terrific receiver. No new guy emerged in the offensive line. Tunsil's still the guy. But the defense, when it comes to great young players, has more than the offense.
Yep, it does right now for sure. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.